Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, and do you want to dress up and make the front of your BMW M2 a lot more aggressive? I will show you how. All right, guys, let's walk through this project a little bit and the reasons why you might want to do this yourself. Now, I'm going to be combining the whole kit from Kies Motorsports. So this is the entire carbon fiber kit for the front end for the G87, and it all ties in together just beautifully. So we're going to be changing out the kidney grills that instead of that flat bar are now going to be angled bars that tie down into the outer vents that with that same angle all the way across, they tie in together. Also, we're going to be replacing that front lower grille as well. So that's going to come out with a new carbon fiber piece and including new carbon fiber lip pieces that fit underneath. So this is going to really dramatically change the front end of my car, make it look much more aggressive, and add a lot of carbon fiber. Now I'm going to walk you through this. Now I have my car up in the air. It's going to make it easier to get underneath. You don't necessarily have to have it up in the air. I'm just going to do it to make it easier to get all of the bolts and screws under the nose. So we're going to start that, pop the hood, let's get going. All right, so we're going to need to take the front bumper cover off to get the kidney grills and side vent covers off, sadly. So we're going to have to start here at the top. Pull this gasket, go ahead and just pull it off partially. You can take it off entirely if you want. There's 4 expanding rivets, 1, 2, 3, 4, so go ahead and pull those out. Get this plastic piece off. There are these little fingers here kind of that attach down. So you just kind of pull up and sort of wiggle and it'll get those fingers to release on each side. You can just take that safely, set that aside safely. So now you're going to see a whole series of Torx bolts here across the top. Now these outer ones from mine are a little bit different because I have the Downstar kits. These are 5mm Allens. All the rest here I believe are T30s, so these should be T30s here on the outside. So go ahead and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go ahead and take all those off to free this upper lip, and then we're going to work our way down the wheel wells and across the front. Okay, so next up we're going to do this to both sides. There are screws that drive up, securing your front bumper cover to your quarter panel that come up at an angle here on both sides, but we have to be able to get to them. So there's a couple of ways you can come at this. These are 10mm screws. All you need to do is take these out and you can potentially pull back your fender liner. If you want, you can pull them all. There's a whole series all the way around and pull your whole fender liner out. You can certainly do that. Sometimes that makes it easier to get to. In my case, I'm just going to pull 1, 2, 3 here and peel it back a little bit. I'll show you what that looks like so we can get to these screws here. And we're going to want to do this on both sides, but let me get this open first. All right, so looking up in here, there's a couple of things you want to do. If you have a PDC on this side, you're going to pull back this little locking tab right here and press down on that little tab and unplug this. You're going to want to do that on both sides. Then if you look up, you'll see right here, there's an 8mm screw that goes up, and there's one on the other side too, back in the back, that you can just barely see. So you're just going to undo both of those 8mm, and then this corner will be free. So go ahead and do that to both sides, and then we're going to go underneath and take out all of the 10mm across the bottom. All right, so as we look across the bottom, we're going to see a whole series of 10mm screws. They're black here, 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 and as you walk away across, I'm missing 2 here already. I have a different 10mm here because of the skid plate I have in. Yours will either look like this or they'll look the same, those same 10mm. Go ahead and walk them all the way across the bottom. Now these plastic rivets are actually holding components inside, so you don't have to take these rivets off. So go ahead and walk and take all of the 10mm across the nose, and your front bumper cover should be really close to being fully loose. So you can see that the bumper cover is starting to gap away. There's also little tabs right here that the plastic is slid into. You might want to have an extra set of hands for this, but you can do it by yourself. Once all those screws are out on the bottom, pretty much this whole thing is loose and you can start to gap it away. Now the one thing you want to be very careful of, and do this very slowly as you look down in here, make sure you don't have any connections or anything that you've missed. There is a very large plug on this side right here that you want to unplug as well. It's this guy right here. The same thing, pull back the tab, press down, and that plug will come off. So once that's all done, very gently pull this out, and you're going to be setting it down on its nose, so set it someplace safe where it's going to be padded. So go ahead and put it down on towels, or if you have like a rack or something similar to put it on so you don't scrape up the nose of your car. But very gently pull this away and go ahead and set this on the nose, and we're going to take out the vents. All right, so we're going to start on the kidney grills first. The OEM are one solid piece here with connected through the middle. The new ones are 2 pieces. It doesn't really matter. There's a whole series of locking tabs all the way around the outside, and they've done a really good job in making these secure because the flange is on one side, and then on the kidney grill itself, there's a little locking tab right here that presses back against that flange to keep it as tight as possible, right? So to keep it in a locked position. So you can use a plastic trim tool, you can use pick tools, you can use small flat bladed screwdrivers, really kind of whatever it takes to get some space set up here so you can slowly start to walk these fingers off. Now what I tend to do is I like to bend these tabs back enough that I can get enough pressure then to apply to the locking tab itself and then start to work that tab off. Now the nice thing is the first couple are pretty tight, but the nice thing is as you work your way around, you start to get more leverage on the piece and it comes out really cleanly. Okay, so start working your way around, loosen up these tabs all the way around, and then we're gonna snap the new ones in place. All right, so as you can tell, it's out. I found it easiest to work from one end because you've got one tab here, pry this back, get it to start to come loose, pry the next two out, and then it'll start, the whole thing will kind of cascade down the end to the middle, start on the other side, work my way to the middle, and then the whole thing comes out. Now, the new ones go in really quite simply. They only go on one side, so there's really only one way to put them in, like that. They have little locking tabs on them, but you can also tell they've got 3M tape here, so go ahead and pull back the top layer of that 3M tape. Go ahead and set these, press them down into place over the tabs on both sides, and these are done, and we're going to be moving to the outside vents next. All right, so let's walk you through taking this out because this covers the side vent, and we need to take it out to be able to get the side vent off. Now, mine is loose and already ready to come out, but it's almost easier to show you with it sitting in place but loose than it is kind of piece by piece by piece, so it all makes sense. Now, you have a series of plastic rivets across the bottom. If you haven't taken those out already, do so now because that's what holds this in place. So you take those out. There's some fingers here that loop under the edge of the outer cover here and here. Now you'll also notice that my parking sensor is out here and my parking sensor is out here, and this is where I wanted to show you here out of the car, or out of position rather than in. Okay, so your parking sensor sits like this, and there are these two little tabs on either side. So your parking sensor sits like this, and there's these two little tabs on either side, and there's fingers that you can see here and here, top and bottom. Pry very gently, just press out on one of those fingers, wiggle this up a little bit, press on the other, wiggle it up a little bit to get this out. Those two fingers are the only things that keep these in place with these little locking nubs. If you break one of these or break one of those fingers, that means your PDC sensor can be loose, and that's a real problem. So it's easy to fix. So you unplug your PDC, and then it's on these plastic posts here, here, and here. So then you just walk the cable back and you can lay it back over there. So you've got the rivets out, you've got these fingers off, you've got the PDC sensor out and unplugged here and here. Now you have another one of those little locking fingers here and a locking finger here. So you kind of start to work this up, work it off those fingers. It's now on those little locking tabs here, here, and here. You work that up and away. There's a locking tab up here that goes over the top. You work that up and away. And then lastly, you can see there's a finger here and a finger here. And then there's a locking plate right here with an 8mm screw. So you take the screw out and you take that plate off. And then this whole thing will just work its way up and off. This big complicated piece will be up and off. And as you can see, that's what you have to do to be able to get these side vents out, right? It's really kind of amazing the amount of stuff you got to take off just to get these vents out. Now, it's going to be the same process on these vents like you did on the kidney grills. You have these same little locking tabs that come through. You're going to pry them back, pick a corner. I'd probably start at this corner, pry it back and get this peeled up and away. Work your way around, and then we'll insert the new one in place. But I'll show you what that looks like. So get caught up to here, take that big piece off, get the side vent off. All right, so it's loose, and I did start on that corner, kind of work my way along the top edge and then down this side, and then once you get some of them start to go, the whole thing will go really easily. So that's out and off. Now, the one difference with the new piece is if you look at it, it doesn't have those little tab fingers on it. It has a lot of 3M adhesive, and it's going to be coming from the other side. So you put this, before you put this in place, you're definitely going to want to make sure to clean that ducting area really well so you get really good adhesion with this in place from underneath. Okay, so let's get that all set up. I'm going to clean that, and then we're going to peel this off and get this pressed into place. All right, so as you can see, it's in place. The 3M is sticking very well. And then in addition, you might have noticed that there's a couple of anchors here already built into the carbon fiber. So this one even has a zip tie already on it. So I looped it up and over the tab right here, tightened it down really nicely. Then I took an additional zip tie, put it through the loop on this side, anchored it to this tab, so it's now anchored on both corners. So this is in and solid. So at this point, you can put this top piece back in, this structural piece back in. Lay it back into place. You can put your plastic rivets back across the bottom. It hooks over the top. It hooks over those tabs there and there and there. Hooks at the top. Go ahead and put that corner anchor back in with that 8mm that holds that corner anchor. And then all of this is set. If you haven't done the other side yet, go ahead and go over and do that. And then we're going to replace the center, which is going to be very quick and easy. Get all this done. We're going to do the center section next. All right, so both sides should be done now. And now we can do the centerpiece. The centerpiece is probably the easiest of them all. It's just held in by a series of tabs across the top and a couple of little expanding rivets down here at the bottom that should already be out. You will need to take your PDC sensors out, so again, gently pry back on the fingers on both sides and then pull the sensor and you can just flip it over on both sides. These little tabs across the top are what hold it in place. So just take it, push it out the front, push the new one in from the bottom. All right, with the existing OEM piece out, you can just take the new one, slide it up into place. Be careful not to knock this off or drop it somehow, but it should just slide really nicely up in place. Don't pinch your PDC sensors, and then just guide all the locking tabs, including these little finger ones here down at the bottom. Get those locked into place and just walk it up, all of these tabs, up into the original piece, just like that. And you are there. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure all these tabs are in place. I've got a couple that aren't quite set 100% yet. Yep, on that side, just like that. There we go. All right, it really is that simple. Make sure the tab on this side is also in place. This one is out of place a little bit, so I'm gonna get that into the right location. But other than that, you're done. So it's all together at this point. You're gonna wanna put your PDC sensors, of course, back into their correct positions, but everything is done here. So go ahead and wrap it, and we'll get ready and we'll put this back on the car. All right, so be very careful hanging this back on the car. I usually will do this top edge first because there are these little tabs that help hold it in place. Remember these ones right up here at the top? So I will usually slide this in and I'll slide it onto those tabs. The tabs will help hold this for you while you put in the rest and secure it. There's these metal tabs right at the top. There should be 4 of them, just like that. Good. Okay, so those will help hold this in place while we put the rest in. I'll usually put in a screw or 2 here at the top, so this isn't going to go anywhere. We're not going to drop it as we take it and we fit it back into place, because obviously it has to fit back here at the edges, right? It has to fit under the track here in the headlight, and it's not hard. All of this fits in remarkably easily, but what you don't want to do is be fiddling with this and have it drop and come off. Okay, so go ahead and put some of your T30s back here in the top to help hold it in place and keep this from falling off. And then we're just going to walk this in reverse. What I will normally do is I'll put in the top bolts. I'll make sure that I'm not hung up on anything underneath, because sometimes it'll curve and get hung up on some of the plastics, or a skid plate like I have in my case. Make sure it's below that skid plate. And then I'll do the corners. Walk it back underneath the edge of the mirror, get this corner to fit up into place, and put those 2 long 8mm back in here, okay? All of that said, it's just going to be the reverse, and I'm going to walk you through it. So I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get 1 corner down. I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll keep walking through this. All right, so you just want to take this and line it up. There's little fingers actually on this piece that help line it up to the quarter panel, so it's really easy just to get up into place in the right position. Peel the liner back and go ahead and put both of those 8mm screws back in. Once you've got that done, and obviously you'd have the liner peeled back, don't forget your PDC sensor on this side. It snaps into place. There's little rubber gaskets around it, so make sure that one of those gaskets isn't pinned back. It just sits in straight. It's not hard. So get that all set up, and then go ahead and put those three 10mm down your wheel well, and then we're going to go wrap up everything underneath. Once that's all done, we're actually going to look to put the front lip on. All right, so for now, just put everything back in. So you have your plastic rivets here in the bigger holes. You've got the screws down the outside. If you've got the skid plate or similar, I've got those different 10mm bolts, but I'm going to put them in. So go ahead and just put the entire line back together so you know that you've got everything in place. Now, a couple of them we're going to take back out when we put the lower lip on. But for now, just put everything back in place where it should be, and then we'll do that 3-piece lip. Okay, so here we are underneath. Everything is good to go. And now, like I said a second ago, I put in some bolts and things that I didn't need to do because I'm going to take them right back out for the lip. But I wanted to make sure everything was secure and straight before I went any further. Now, this lip system actually is 3 pieces. The center goes in first. You can see the holes actually line up here underneath. with that expanding rivet on either end, and then your 10 millimeters down through the center. So I'm going to take all those 10 millimeters back out. In my case, because of those smaller bolts, I'm probably going to have to put some bigger washers on just to help hold this in place. Now, this also has 3M tape on it, so you'll peel the tape, line it up really, really nicely, and then press that tape up into place and it'll hold, and put all those on. Then we're going to put both corners on. All right, so you can tell the centerpiece is on. You're going to have to forgive me that I'm missing the center bolts right now. In my case, with this aftermarket plate, I'm going to need to get some larger washers. The existing washers that came with it are too small to hold in place. If you have the standard 10 millimeter body screws, you'll be fine. Now, I'm holding this other piece up. You can see 1, 2, 3. You're going to pull 3 of those body screws, and this will secure nicely in place. Same thing with the 3M tape on this. So pull your 3M tape and then stick this, and then go ahead and do the other side, and you're almost done. All right, so almost done. So both sides are on. Everything is secure. It looks great. I'm really excited about this. Now, you might have also noticed I've added slip blow along the way. Kies Motorsports also sells this. This is really good product. I've used it on every front lip I've had, and it really cuts down. If you ever, accidentally scrape, this does a good job in saving your lips. So, I always put this on. I've got a couple of videos on it. It's so simple, I really was just going to skip it this time and just put it on. But definitely consider it. All right, let's jump back into the top and put those T30s back in. All right, so here's why I'm actually grateful for the plastic. So if you look really closely, you can see indentations where the washers are, because you have to worry about fitment between your nose and the hood, right? But if you put these T30s back in exactly where the divots are from the washers, then you should have no fitment problems whatsoever. So just walk these T30s back in, take that plastic piece, remember, snap those fingers around the armatures here and here and here, snap that back down in place, put those expanding rivets back in, put your rubber trim on, and you're done. We'll take a look. All right, so I know that's a really tight camera angle right at the moment, and I'll get some great shots once it's down off the lift, but yeah. Oh, I am so excited by this. This looks so good. I love the way it all ties together, the angles from the kidney grills down into the lower vents. This looks so good. This is transformative for the M2. I really love this. All right, so go ahead and clean up, put your tools away, put your car back on the ground. You're all done. All right, you also go ahead and clean up, put your tools away. You can tell this is not a hard project. This is going to take you just some time and a few simple tools. And don't forget, everything that you need from parts, tools, and everything else is listed in the video description below. So make sure to check that out. Now, this also is the part of a bigger picture, the side skirt project and rear diffuser project, all carbon fiber from Kies Motorsports. I cannot wait to show you the whole package, and make sure to check out those DIY videos as well. This is going to make a huge difference for my car. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to click like and subscribe. It makes a huge difference to my channel, and I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on my next project.